It Takes Two, baby. I absolutely love this game. I know that the Game Awards awarded it their Game of the Year, and I totally see why that's the case. But there's just something about It Takes Two that it just it's so good. It's so good.
We played it together ourselves. Like anyone, your significant, like anyone can play this game. It is so intuitive. It's easy. It's so comfort. The like graphics in it, the sounds in it, even like the simple like voice acting in it is so interesting. And the storyline, it's something that like you could go back and play
Yeah.
if you wanted. Like I know you want to play with your brother, and it's something that like I would encourage anyone to play it because it's so good from the get-go all the way to the end. It like it encourages you. It like it doesn't. I'm not someone who's great with like necessarily like thumb controls, or like sometimes pressing buttons like kind of gets a bit overwhelming, but this is intuitive enough that even if like you're a little like slow with pressing buttons, like it
Yeah.
will pull you to the thing that you need to press the button for,
Yeah.
because it's just amazing.
You're right. The accessibility alone in this game is really good in a sense that there's none of this button mashing whenever you press buttons. There's options in the accessibility menu to set it so that if you have any sort of like difficulty pressing buttons or holding buttons for a long time, it's just simple button presses instead of like gone are the days where you're there mashing, mashing. And that is like
Just because I beat you.
that
It's
too. Um, but yeah, something else I also really liked about the game. So, like Wendy was saying, you play as May and Cody, who are a mother and father, husband and wife, going through a rough patch in their marriage. And your daughter Rose has blamed herself for the failing marriage. You kind of see it through the eyes of her, and she's trying to like offers like token gestures to each of you in a bid to make up and be friends again. Because that's like she's a kid, she's only like 6 or maybe 7 or something, and she wants like mommy and daddy to be friends again, kind of. Because even she can see the tension between the two of them. And it reaches its apex as the distraught Rose brings 2 dolls of May and Cody into the tool shed and begins to cry tears on them. The tears and some kind of like a voodoo sort of doll turn that kind of shrinks May and Cody into these dolls. And then that's the setup as the game, as it sees your journey to get Rose to cry on you again in the hopes that you're going to return to human form. And that's where you kind of like take off. It's kind of like a co-op Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. And I absolutely love that. I think that is just so funny. Um,
really good. I
it's brilliant.
it's so
Mm,
ingenious. Like no level to me I felt was the same. You had different challenges and you had different like activities. Like it was very ingenious, like of how to do things. Like with this one, it's the like you have to buzz around. You gotta like shoot the honey while I
yeah.
kind of set it on fire, and like the wasps are moving around. Like the big like mechanical wasp is moving around. It's really interesting to see how they do kind of that sort of stuff. Like it was just so ingenious. Like I am so glad that this won Game of the Year,
Yeah.
because it was beautiful. It's from the creator of what was the first game he did? Because this is his second game that he's done.
Um, A Way Out,
Way
which is a
Out.
prison base. There's 2 brothers in a prison. They're trying to escape prison. I've not
And
played that before, but
because it's
yeah,
so they actually have they probably have loads of little snippets of it, but we did come across one of the Easter eggs talking about that game. Like they had the 2 characters as dolls in
yes,
the daughter's room that we discover, and we can step on them and they say little sound bites. So
that is true.
it's so ingenious of how they did it.
It's very smart. They yeah, they really did like make a nice kind of homage to the previous games. And like you were saying there, Wendy, like the it's a well told story with great pacing. I don't want to go into this like if it's like a Pixar made a game. I hate that sort of like comparison because they're 2 different things, like a movie and a game. But if it was, let's say if we were talking like that, it is as close as you'll get to like a Pixar based movie. If somebody told me that Nintendo produced this game, it's that like it really is that tight. Like the
It's
writing
so
is
high
incredible, the
quality.
gameplay is incredible. It just feels like a Nintendo quality game. Like it's just tight. And like Hazelight have done an excellent job of creating some really inspired like co-op scenarios in the game. There's like just so many smart like creative executions of what are normally like well trodden and worn out co-op mechanics. That if the story didn't hit its mark, I feel the gameplay also wouldn't really hold up as well. It's because the story and the gameplay marry so well. Marry, even though it's like a struggling kind of marriage. In the game, and it's truly like where the game shines. Like each chapter, you're introduced to like a new kind of like I don't know gimmick per se. That what you laughing at? Yeah,
I
yeah,
loved every single second of it.
yeah.
My one but, my one but, the
Okay.
one absolutely I put this in here, it broke my heart. One of the scenes when you're in the room and it's so clever, like you're going through like a pillow fort and you're going through loads of these little things. You have to like come across one of the toys and you have to hurt the toy.
Oh
Right?
yes, yeah,
Absolute realism of you basically like the two of us together as like the characters had to drag a toy, like catch a toy with
mm,
a little claw machine and then pull the toy and push it over the edge of the pillow castle. Absolutely heartbreaking, absolutely broke my heart because the little toy is struggling all the way. And like,
yeah,
as someone who loves like teddy bears, like I grew up with my teddy bear, like I was in floods of tears because
yeah.
obviously we were playing at each other like different houses, so you couldn't see me. Like, I was in floods of tears over this. It was just so real, and I think it's an absolute downer, but I think it puts back into that game of how well they thought out this game. It has so much like movement, it has so much emotion in it, like there's so much going on. Like even in the scenes, like my favorite like level still is those squirrels that are on the scene fighting against the bees. And again, like there's just so much interaction, there's so much to look at, so much to do. But that definitely was my one downer of why did we have to hurt the elephant so badly?
I know. I mean, the game never outstayed its welcome in like its 13-hour playthrough. We spent about 13 hours in the game and it
Yeah.
never outstayed it. Never. It was constantly, it was just amazing content after. It was an amazing story, amazing gameplay. They even have these little kind of versus modes where you can kind of play chess against each other or like
Yes.
have like balloon fights or you're
Yeah.
playing like curling and you have to try and like get the little curling billiards or whatever, like into stop in a certain zone
Yeah.
against each other. Really fun, and it's like an achievement to try and find all these different like kind of
Mini
yeah, the mini games and the co-op games and the versus mode games. It's really fun. But the only story beat that really missed was the scene where, like you said, you kill Rosie's favorite toy, which is this elephant kind of doll, and it's really voiced in like a childlike manner to kind of get that sort of reaction out of people. It's kind of very obvious that they're trying to like tug at heartstrings for this one part.
they're ridiculous.
They really got you. You were devastated
I was
after.
devastated. And it was if they don't redeem this like action, I am going to write an angry letter to this guy. And thankfully, they did actually redeem it in the end. They did
They
redeem.
did. They did. Yeah, they did.
Got patched back up. Got
Yeah.
like first aid, went to like teddy bear hospital. It was just so real.
It was just so utterly cruel from two adults in the game on an overly childish character with very overly childish voice acting. So it was kind of like these adults were kind of like just kind of like murdering like an underage, like a small, like kind of baby's toy. It was just bad. It just missed the beat. It just didn't hit well. And it was obviously meant as like a tearjerker moment from
Yeah.
the writers, I think. But it was just kind of unnecessary, and it didn't really need it in what was otherwise a very family friendly game. That was the only part that kind of missed it for me.
Yeah.
But I don't know if you want to add anything to that, or I can get to like the
No.
best bits, downer, and summary of this game.
Yeah, I think that's like the downer. I think my best bits
Mm,
is how diverse it was. Like there was so much to do, and
yeah.
we can easily go back so that I play as the other character and you play as like the blue hair doll, and I play
Yeah,
as the
Cody and
grey
May.
cat doll.
Yeah.
Cody. I play Cody. You play May this time because it's just so diverse. Like
Yeah.
at one point, like we do like the garden scene. We do like at the moment we're like flying through a tree in a plane.
Yeah.
At one point we do basically a fighter scene on it against a squirrel. Like
Yes.
so much in it, and I think that's my favorite thing was it was so diverse. There were
Yeah.
so many different things. Like you were swinging, you were flying, you were doing everything you could with these characters. There was nothing to be left. Oh, I wish they had tried this with the character, or I wish they had done this sort of thing.
Of
I never
course.
felt that. I always felt it was just like, what are we gonna do next? Like it was never repeated. It was always something new.
Yeah. And I think even in the footage that you're watching in the background, this is the scene where the game, with that Wendy had mentioned, where the game becomes this kind of Tekken style, Smash Bros style fighting game after somebody steers the plane, somebody shoots. You could play the game with opposite roles, and somebody would be playing a different game because each person is assigned a different kind of gimmick per se. If you have like exploding kind of sap from in the tree level, and somebody else has the matchstick, it's an entirely different setup every single, or well, each you well, I suppose there's only two different ways to play the game with the two characters, but each person's role has an entirely separate gameplay mechanic to
Yeah,
it in each chapter, and the levels and the biomes are so diverse and so different. You go through such a
yeah,
like a range of, you're in a garden, and then you're in a tree, and then you're in like a shrunken bedroom, and then you're in
yeah,
like the attic in like a shrunken down music kind of an amplifier or something, with like there's cables and wiring. um
yeah.
it's just fascinating, like the different things. It really is Honey, I Shrunk the Kids in like a video game format.
Honey, Toy Story, I think, is a great way to
That's a
like
great
describe
analogy
it.
as well. It really
Yeah,
is like Toy Story, yeah.
it was great.
The
I
scene
highly
where they're all
recommend
trying to
it.
get back to the house, like in the yeah. Best bits of this game, I would say, you only need a single copy for two people to
It
play.
was
Wireless, like wirelessly. I don't mean it doesn't have to be like couch co-op. I mean, I was here on my PC. You were at home on your PC. You could just download the friend code and then install the game for
yeah,
free, just because I owned it.
yeah,
Sensational. I mean, that is phenomenal. And more games need to be doing this sort of feature. You don't really see that from AAA's as much, especially not an EA published game like Hazelight, published under EA. And I don't know how they convinced them to give away essentially one copy of the game for free. But then again, there is no single player element to the game, so you need somebody else to play the game, unless you can like control two controllers at the same time, like some sort of octopus man. Otherwise, like it's entirely co-op based game. So
yeah.
that is great, but at the same time, you can see how maybe like a stingy sort of EA would charge like two for one game. But the fact that it's not even €60, it's a €40 full price, or not even full price, full game, full featured
It is.
game. Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
entirely worth it. I would have paid €60 for this.
it's 60, I think,
Oh, I
for
said 20. I
you
did
said
pay
40.
20 on.
It's like
It is
20.
40. I got it on sale, but
That I feel like one of the best thing is one, the fact that only one of us needed it and I could download a friend's copy to
yeah,
play it with each other with an invite. And then, because like obviously I can't access the full game as I have to have James invite me into it.
that's true.
Like with Div,
Yeah.
is a great one. Divinity,
Yeah,
like that's
Divinity
just
is a good one. Yeah.
it's so much more accessible.
It is.
And especially at the moment, it's on PC. Is it on?
It is. It's on all. It's on PlayStation, and it's actually on Xbox. It's on Game Pass as well, so you can
It's
get it
on
on
Game
Game
Pass.
Pass. Yeah.
So it's so diverse. It's so playable either with a keyboard or with
Yeah.
control. It's accessible, I think, to everyone.
It
Like
is an
everyone,
exemplary couples game.
it's
It's the perfect couples game.
so
Every couple should play this. It's not like video gamey per se, and it kind of falls into that kind of category where you don't have to be brilliant at games to play this, but the game can be as challenging as you want,
yeah,
as well. You don't have to be perfect, but like you can play it with like a young child as well, like,
yeah,
or you can play it with like like parents who have never touched a controller in their life, and they would still enjoy this game. It's just so family friendly. It's spectacular.
it
Um,
is.
uh, I think it's just so charming, and it just has this wholesome sort of family film vibe to it the whole way through. And it's just really intuitive. There's creative co-op puzzles throughout. The gameplay from start to finish is spectacular, and it's just wonderfully diverse and has really diverse levels as well. And that's what my favorite part of the game was. So to summarize it, I would say the game is a spectacular co-op in the air of a Pixar movie that's all killer, no filler. All killer, no filler.